Tami, nice to have you back on the podcast again. How you doing?
I'm good, very good. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's been a while since we last spoke. I think it was back in March. Surely
Yeah,
it was March or early April time. We
it was around that time. Yeah, I was like at the beginning of this whole fiasco that we're dealing with.
yeah, God, yeah. I mean, I think that was like the first because I think we did it on Instagram Live, didn't we? Instagram
Yeah,
Live.
yep, we did Instagram Live.
Yeah, because that was before I was doing like video. I think it was like before I did that. So I really like kind of threw myself out of my comfort zone. but but yeah, no, it's good to reconnect with you. And we said like we talk about like mindset and like why like mindset's important. To have a kind of focused mindset. Would you say?
Yeah, no, it's important. I mean, especially when you're in business or you're dealing with anything in life, it's all your mindset. When you're thinking like negative thoughts, negative things start happening to you and you wonder why. So it's always good to just check in with yourself and
Yeah.
feel what you're feeling and see like what's not working and where you're misaligned so that you could totally work on your mind, because with your mind it creates anything.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I think like your mindset and the way that you think and the thoughts that you say to yourself, it kind of like it's energy almost, isn't it? Like your mindset, the things you do, the words you say, because like recently, I had a few jobs, and some of the jobs I was doing I didn't like, and I was thinking about, I was thinking those thoughts like I don't like this, and then I started to feel negative, and then my energy started turning negative, and you kind of have to almost flip it around, don't you? But I think it's,
Yeah.
if you're aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, I think that's kind of where, that's where it's kind of self awareness probably comes in, probably.
Yeah, and some people aren't even aware that they're even in that negative space. It's considered a blind spot and they don't even see it. They don't know what they don't know. And so people around them could see it and feel it. But if you're like things aren't working out for your life, you checking in with yourself is self-awareness for sure. And if
Mm.
you're having like a bad day at work and things aren't moving in your direction and you're blaming everybody else, then you're like, okay, wait a second, let me check in with myself, let me see what this is, what's not going right. And your thoughts create your reality. So if you're
Mm.
like, even in your job, like when you're feeling like you just really don't want to be there, and then you start walking around the office like, oh, I really hate this job, it's your attitude, it's the way you're being about it.
Mm.
And if you didn't like check in with yourself, you probably would have never left.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, and I think like because like you're a coach as well, and you must like you notice it when probably working with clients or when you meet people, you probably recognize how people's behavior and how they think sometimes.
Yeah, when I'm a mindset career coach for women entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and we work on clarity, confidence, and consistency in their business. And if you're not clear about what it is that you want to do, like your end goal, your target, where are you going? Where's your path? Where's your structure?
Mm.
And you don't have that foundation, you're just living life like, oh my goodness, like where, like nothing's panning out for me. How come I'm not getting the clients that I need? How come I'm not making money? And so
Mm.
yeah, if they're when I'm on the phone with them, I could hear their blind spots. I could hear their rackets. I could hear where they're racketeering, where it's just like blaming other people and not taking responsibility for themselves. And
Mm.
then as a coach, I listen for what it is that they want. Like what we create on the first call, like their roadmap. And when they're not being consistent with their roadmap, then they're just like not aligned with their vision and their goals and their dreams.
Mm.
So it's super important to check in with yourself, and especially with your mindset, and seeing like,
Mm.
okay, where am I, where are things not moving?
Mm. Yeah. Why? Like, why do you think sometimes people are like that? I mean, we can all sometimes probably be like that ourselves at some point, but why would you say people sometimes are like that? Do you think people don't think about it, or people might not? I mean, people might have certain beliefs, so they just act a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, when you're between the ages of 1 and 6 or 1 and 8, your environment, your people around you, your parents, your family, your friends, that shapes you as a child. So then when we become adults, or when you get older, you
Mm,
take on those certain beliefs and make it your reality as an adult. So when you
mm,
see that behavior, you're acting out as a child and you're reacting towards certain things. Like when someone says no, I know for myself, I did a communication course, and in that communication course, I used to think when people said no to me that they didn't love me. And if
yeah.
I said no to them, I didn't love them. So I say
Mm,
somebody asked me, Tammy, can you help me move this day? I would move my whole schedule around, go help them out, take them as a priority instead of the things that I already had scheduled. And then I
yeah.
would show up and be like, hey, I love you, I'm here. And then when I asked them to go to the movies, they're like, oh no, I can't go. And I'm like, well, wait, what? You don't love me then? Like, I just
Mm,
helped you move. What do you mean? And so in that moment when I was in the course, I got that the word no isn't, I had like an underlining conversation
yeah, yeah.
of like, you don't love me. And I was like so mind blowing because it was doing a self-awareness,
Mm,
self-development course. And boom, it was like a aha light bulb moment. And I was like, oh
yeah.
no. So now I say no, like, no, I can't do this right now. Like I have other things,
Mm,
priorities of
mm,
mine. So I set those healthy boundaries. But
yeah.
yeah, I used to always say yes. I was a yes person. Yes, I'll go do this. Yes, I'll go do that. Yes, I'll do this. Yes,
Yeah.
and then my stuff doesn't get done. And then I'm blaming
Mm,
them that my stuff didn't get done.
mm. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, isn't it? When you think it's and it's good that you kind of recognize that, through that course. I think that's like one of the benefits of doing certain courses. You kind of you have to kind of look within, don't you? Especially as a coach. Like when I did my course, we did different modules, and you had to really look at yourself. Um, Things would come up. Do you know what I mean? Things would come up, and you would go into things. And I'm trying to think what one of the things I realized. Um, I think it was like my listening. I recognized that I always kind of was always wanting to say something. That makes sense. And my listening, I had to really work on that and kind of put certain things aside and listen. And yeah, but that's I think that's through being a person, kind of improving your mindset, isn't it? Is key, and you can really make changes from doing that.
Yeah, because listening is super, it's a gift to somebody. Because when you're listening through a filter, like when you're listening to your mom or your girlfriend or your friends, you already have like this prejudged notion. And I
Mm.
got keen on my listening too, because I always didn't want it to be silent, like the awkward silence and just like, oh my God, I got to put an a yes, or, but I'm already not listening because I'm already wanting to say something ahead of
Yeah.
what somebody else
Yes.
is saying. And it's like, I'm not listening. I'm thinking about what I'm saying next. And so it's good that you got cleared up on your listening so that you could just like make a change for yourself and other people around you and give them the space to be heard.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was difficult because I'm quite extroverted and I talk, and but yeah, it was definitely a hard thing to change. But um, I think like people can change what as long as you recognize something in yourself, you can change it, can't you? If you wanted to. Um, and I think that's kind of like one of the things that we mentioned is why like coaching is important, because clients sometimes probably come to you with something they want to work on, and that thing they want to work on probably isn't the actual thing they need to be working on. It might be something else, probably.
Exactly. They come to me with one thing and then they transform it, and it's a deeper level of like what it actually is. And then diving deep into like really finding the source of that. Like, why are they ineffective? Why aren't they calling people? Why aren't they building relationships? Why aren't they firing their boss and hiring somebody else, or hiring themselves
Mm.
and getting out of their own way? Because as a coach, what we do is we provide a space for them to be heard. you know, because people don't get heard. That's why there's reactive people walking the streets and like, blaming and projecting their problems onto you. And when you could get as a human being that whatever that person's saying to you has nothing to do with you, has absolutely nothing to do with you. How they're acting, how they're reacting, how they're speaking to you it has something to do with them. So and just listening to my clients, I get to hear what they're saying, and not really hear, but really listen for what they truly want. So it's good to be that space for them and create and hold them accountable. And they're finally just like dumping and clearing whatever's in their space. Like, nothing's working. And I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
what action are you going to take now after nothing's working? Like, okay, I get this isn't working. Let's work on, you know, seeing what we can do to improve what's not working. Because as coaches, we work on what's not working, and then we celebrate what's working.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think it's quite powerful coaching. It's like how people can shift and change, and in a matter of minutes sometimes. I know when we did the course my course, we had to do like practices. We had to practice, and you would observe, and you would see people doing it, and you would literally kind of feel like the energy in a person change. You'd see them before they were sitting in the chair, and once they had finished, a different person almost. And someone described it to me as like it's like person bringing a tangled ball of string to you, and they just untangling that string through
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah, because they're stuck with like that ball of string is actually like all their anger, resentment, fear. Like that's all that's in that person. So they're reacting to life like, nothing's working for
Mm,
me. Why? Or it's doing really great, but they want to get to that next level, but they don't see what their performance is. So when
mm,
you, as a coach, we unravel that ball of yarn and just like, okay, well, let's get to the source of why you're not doing that. And it's probably the majority of the time, it's a young based conversation where they're taking it into their adulthood because their
mm.
mother said no to them. So they make it mean like, oh, I can't sign up this client because they said no. So that means I'm a horrible person. And it's not that you failed.
Yeah.
You're not a failure. You just failed at performing. And so go ask somebody else that's going to be a yes.
Mm. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And I think like, we can't always take things to heart, can we? And, like a lot of the times, like you said, we react to, probably certain situations, kind of how you, it's like, is it respond, how you choose to respond, responding and reacting are like two different things, aren't they? And
Mm-hmm.
I had a situation where the other week, a lady pulled up beside me in a car, and she like hit her car against my door, and then went round to the other car because she knew the person there. Didn't say anything. So what my reaction was like, I felt a bit frustrated, and I was like, just keep calm. It's okay. Probably not much damage. I checked, nothing wrong. And then she did it to this side, and I was like, I went from like 0 to 100 like that, and I was like, I need to just be careful. And I just put my window down, and I was like, twice, like twice. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I just didn't say anything. I shut my door, and then it took me like probably 10 or 15 minutes to cool down. But then I just thought of it in myself. I was like, it's much worse things happening in the world. What am I worrying about? That's, and I think that, kind of is it reframing? What's the right word? Like when you get a new perspective, like reframing
Yeah,
yourself.
you reframed yourself. Yeah, you took a situation where went from 0 to 100, and she did it twice. You could have reacted and been like, called her every name in the book and like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Instead you're like, okay, let me reframe this. Like, there's better things going on in the world, like worser things going on in the
Mm,
world, and she's probably having a bad day and she doesn't even really realize. Maybe she's blind, maybe
mm,
she's dealing with something. You never know.
yeah. I think that's like what you said. Like you don't know what's happening in other people's lives, and I think they might have had a bad day, or they might be in a rush, and then that thing that happens is just an effect from that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, even when you're like driving down the street and someone cuts you off, you don't know if that man or woman is pregnant, or they got into a
Mm.
fight, or they're rushing to go home because the babysitter's leaving. And here you are, like, sticking up your middle
Yeah,
finger, like saying, "Oh my God, no way. Like,
yeah,
this
yeah,
person, how dare you?" And then you chase them down the road. It's like you're wasting that energy to go
yeah.
be right. And most people want to be right. And I got
Mm.
that in my courses. Like, I used to
Mm.
be, you're wrong, I'm right. If you're 5 minutes late, you're getting an earful at dinner. So it wasn't pleasant being around me. If you were five
Mm.
minutes late, it was 25 minutes talking about how you're late.
Oh wow.
And oh yeah, it was not fun, because I'm like, you're late, you don't respect my time, you don't know that what I've been dealing with, like and it's exhausting to be in that space.
Mm.
So when I did the um, a professional development course, I got that, like, oh my God, I make people
Mm.
wrong just to be right.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's so interesting how we can pick up certain things, like through I don't know, for people or the environment or growing up, we're almost like sponges. And I've met some people and had relationships in the past where I remember I had a shower once, and this particular person was like, you took your time, and I'm like, I was having a shower and getting ready. Like, what the hell? It's nothing personal. But yeah, it's I find people interesting, and I'm sure you do as well. And we're all so different. And I think when you accept that and you kind of come to terms with that, you kind of don't take it too personally.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while to
Yeah,
get responsible for how I react, and it
yeah,
was a practice, and it's still a practice. It's never,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I I could pop off. I can get
Mm,
nasty, because I'm human, and
mm,
like, I'm
yeah.
human. Things, I'm not some robot walking around like Miss Perfect, or Miss
No,
Positivity. No, I'm human, and things do
yeah.
get to me, and I have a choice in the matter. Do I want to react, or do I want to, like, see something different in the situation? Like,
Mm,
look at a blessing in disguise, and look at the good in things, and look at the positive in things. Because
mm,
before, oh my goodness, everybody was
yeah.
wrong, like, and because
Mm,
it was a little scared girl inside, like,
mm,
survival, like, I was surviving in
mm,
conversations, I was surviving in my friendships. And when you said no to me, I'm like, you don't love me, you're not, like, you're not there for me, how dare you? And
yeah.
that's exhausting to be around. And it's so, now I'm looking at inwards and seeing
Mm,
what's not working in my life before I go to
mm,
anybody else and see what's not working in their life. Unless they're paying me as a client, then we get to do that. But I
yeah.
don't do that to a normal day person.
No, no. Yeah. No, I agree. I think like, it's almost like I think like being a person, like it's always we're always kind of like you said, we're not robots, we're not perfect. We are human and we have days where, things might happen, we might react and do things. I know. Oh yeah, what star sign are you?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Because do you pay attention to star signs and things like that? Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Because I'm an
I'm a fire.
Aries.
You are
Yeah,
fire.
yeah, 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 yeah. Because I'm an Aries and that's fire as well, and I can be like really chilled, but if something annoys me, it's just like I said, it's instant, and it's like I'm gonna say something. Um, um, but yeah, no, yeah, like I said, I think we're only human, and I think we do make mistakes and we learn, and it's just a constant process, isn't it? I think.
It's key. When we could get that we're nothing in word, like, who do you want to be for today? Like, I learned that. I was like, what do you mean I'm nothing? What do you mean I'm nothing? And I
Mm,
took it as like an insult. Like, what do you mean? I'm human. I matter. And they're like, no, you do matter. But when you just could get that you're nothing in word, and that anything you say, like committing to something out there, like, I want to impact 10 million women. you know, in their business, in their career, and in their life. What is that going to take for me? Who do I get to be for them? And when I'm hiding and when I'm not doing what I say I'm going to do, like reach out to women, do podcasts, do, you know, events on Zoom. Now it's on Zoom. How am I going to get to 10,000 women? You know, when my word is, I want to impact 10,000, like even waking up in the morning, like, oh, I want to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. I want to run. And then I wake up at 8:30 and I sleep in a little bit longer. And then I'm like, oh, nobody saw that. Like nobody knows that I didn't wake up. I said it to myself. But when you could get that, like, that's the word to yourself, that's integrity. And without integrity, nothing works. And so it's what you say to others. It's what you say to yourself. And it's what you, it's also what you say that's not expected.
Yeah.
And so it's working that muscle and mindset. It's your mindset. And it's working that muscle in, it's like going to the gym for your brain and working on your word. Like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be on this call at 4:00. I'm going to be, you know, making 100 phone calls today. And then when you start seeing that the universe starts opening up for you, what it is that you're creating and what you want, you're like, wow, that was fast. And things start coming to you quicker because you're in word. That's why they say you're nothing in word. So things start working for you and everyone's like, oh, is that miracles? Is that magic? I'm like, no, it's just, it's the law of the universe.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you said. And I think like, it's very powerful, you know, what you just mentioned. And I think that self-discipline, you know, in your mindset is key. There's a quote, I don't know who said it. It's something like, if you don't control if you're not in control of your mind will control you, or something like that. I don't know who said that. But it's like you said, I definitely struggle when it comes to getting up early sometimes. But once I'm in that routine, I'm good to go. But getting into that routine is like difficult for me personally. But like you said, it's when you say you have like a to-do list, and like you said, the things that you the tasks in the day, you know, that is like you said, a muscle, you know, mentally, isn't it? Kind of building that muscle and then doing those things. And it's almost like a domino effect. I mean, I spoke about it with somebody else, and I said, it's like if you have a day where you don't do that thing you're meant to do, or a few tasks, it can then sometimes probably leak into the next day. And if you don't do that thing, and like I did it today, like I had to book in to a dentist today, and I said to myself, like, the past few weeks, I need to do that. I need to do that. And after like a couple of weeks, I've done it today, and I feel good for doing it. It's out of the way now.
Because it takes up mental space in your head. And when you're like, for weeks and weeks and weeks, now if you would have wrote it down and said, I'm going to go 3 weeks and do it on this date, now it's out of your head. So with like my clients and stuff, I'm like, write down at the end of the night everything that's in your head, because if not, you're not going to go to sleep. You're going to be restless and you're going to wake up with the same problems that you did at night. So if you could just write down everything that you want to get out of your mind so that you can have a clear head. And even like when I take a shower, I'm like, okay, washing off everything that I need to wash off, and washing off things that, like, feeling like, okay, I feel bad. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel, you know, whatever's not like positive for myself. And when I'm in the shower, and then things will start coming to me. You know, it always happens when you're in the shower, right? It's like things start coming to you, like the best ideas. And I'm just like, oh my God, I need a pen, but I'm in the shower. Okay, I'm going to think about it. Or like, I have to call this person, or it's in my mind, like, oh my God, I've been meaning to call this person. I've been meaning to call this person. I've been meaning. So, and every time it's in my head and it's taking up that mental, you know, clarity, and that space too. And so when I could just like get out of the shower, or write something down at the night, in the morning, or get it out of my head and onto a piece of paper, it frees me up in that time. And then I'm able to like call in other things that I really truly want and desire. Because if I don't call that person, like you said, 3 weeks, it's been in your head every single day until you went to it, and now you feel relieved.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it is almost, you're right. And it's like you're almost carrying like a weight on your shoulders, even though there is no weight there. If that makes sense. And then you do that thing, you're like, oh yeah, done. It's done now. And then you kind of then want to do the next thing, and it's just kind of probably like building that momentum, isn't it? And keeping that kind of momentum going. I think that can be probably a hard thing to do, but I suppose, it takes, someone said to me, like 3 weeks to develop a new habit.
21 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's like going to the gym. Like, you don't want to go to the gym, but you want that 6-pack, or
Yeah.
you want to lose that 20 pounds. And at the beginning, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. And then you go to the gym and you're like, dang, I feel good. My muscles are like a little sore. Like, you feel the progress that you did. Sometimes I don't want to do Kundalini yoga. I don't want to do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to sit on the couch and eat potato chips. And then
Yeah.
like, that sounds like so much more fun
Yeah.
to me right now, and then I
Yeah.
get into Kundalini yoga and I'm just like, and I share that. I'm like, I just really don't want to be here right now. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to do the breathing. I don't want to do the hard exercises. I don't want to do that. And then once I go through it, I'm like, oh, so glad I did that.
Yeah.
So glad that I did that.
Yeah. So like with Kundalini
Kundalini yoga.
Kundalini sounds like some Italian pasta or something like that. so
Right?
so so with Kundalini yoga, that's obviously different to normal yoga, right? Is it
Mm-hmm.
more so kind of what does that involve, like Kundalini yoga? Is it
It works with your prana, which is your breath, and the
right?
Kundalini energy. And it clears your chakras and it gets alignment with your nervous system. And so, like yesterday,
Wow.
I had, last night, I always get like this little sore in between my shoulder blades. And I just breathed into that space to get that pain to go away, because you could heal your body. So when you're in Kundalini yoga, you do a lot of breathing and meditation, and you do a lot of with your heart chakra. So we do a lot of arm movements. That's why I have like pretty good muscles.
Oh wow.
Like, yay!
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you're opening up your heart chakra. We open up our heart chakra a lot because it's connected to our brain and into our thinking and getting the flow of things and clearing out our chakras. We'll do mudras, and um, we'll do mudras, and oh my God, like Kira's. Well, I'm going blank
No,
right
that's
now.
fine. No, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
But it's you're working with your whole body, and we
Wow.
do some savasanas, and we do some regular yoga like Bikram yoga in there, but very, very, very little. It's more opening up your heart and dealing with the energy that you have and healing yourself, and doing a lot of breathing exercises. And we check in with ourselves, and we bow down to ourselves and to everybody that we believe in, and we give grace to everybody in our lives and people that we don't know. And it's an hour and a half, and it's
That's
amazing.
intense.
Yeah. Goes by so quick. You're in a meditation for 11 minutes, breathing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then your arms will get tired. We'll do this,
Wow.
and we do breath of fire. So you're working with 72,000 nerve endings in your belly button. So you're activating and you're breathing in
Wow.
and out through your nose. And so you get a little
Gosh.
lightheaded. And at the beginning of starting Kundalini, you just jump right in. There's no like intermediate expert, or
Yeah.
you just jump right on in. And if you
Wow.
can't keep your arms up, you kind of check in with yourself. Like, where else do you give up? Because it's just
Yeah.
your body's telling you it's pain, it's pain, it's pain, but it's just your muscle just burning. It's
Yeah.
really like, so you breathe through it. And then you're like, oh my God, if I could do this for 11 minutes, or I could do whatever the exercise is, whatever the key, what is it called? Oh, that will come to me probably at the end.
No, it's fine.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun doing it, and it's a discipline, and
Yeah.
it's definitely good for your brain. Anybody could do it. Anybody, any age, anytime. And I just love my teacher, Sarah Rishi.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
That's awesome. I really like that, really into it, and it's something you really enjoy and something that you're passionate about. And I think like I've never done yoga. My mum's done yoga. I know people who've done yoga. I've done Pilates one time. That was the closest I got to yoga. But I've only heard good things about it, and I Joe Rogan, he does a podcast. Joe
Yeah.
Rogan, he
Mm-hmm.
he talks about yoga all the time, and I was like thinking to myself like, he's the kind of person who does yoga. I was like, but there's so many benefits to it, and like, and people probably should do it. Like you can do it at home. You can do it probably anywhere. I've seen people do it in the park.
Mm-hmm. It's really good for your mind, and you're getting connected to source too in the same sense. You're getting connected to yourself.
Mm,
I mean, as a coach, I'm dealing with people's traumas and dramas and negative and positives and breakthroughs,
mm, mm.
you know. But for me to be a coach and an effective coach, I got to do the work for myself too. I
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah,
Reiki, I have a shaman, I have two
yeah.
coaches, I have accountability partners, I have a mastermind group because I
Mm,
believe in community and I believe in tribe and I believe in I got to do the work in order for me to provide for my clients.
mm, mm. Yeah, no, that's definitely key, isn't it? And I think that's why I found like being the client pretty effective when I was learning to do coaching, because you then you like I didn't really like it. I feel quite vulnerable and intimidated when you're in that space, because it's like people are now asking you things, but you kind of have to be on the other end of it to understand how it feels, and in order to grow. Because if you just had a client and you haven't been in that person's shoes, then it's not very effective, and you kind of have that empathy.
Very much so. Yeah, with
And I think,
clients,
yeah,
getting through that. Yeah, getting to see that in them and have empathy for them for sure.
yeah. Do you think like empathy? I feel like empathy is important. Do you think empathy, in the world today, you think empathy is important?
Yeah, and it's missing. It's
Yeah.
missing. Because when you could be empathetic towards somebody else and just get in their shoes, like it has nothing to do with you. Like someone's having a bad day and they just want somebody to vent to, but they don't know how to ask somebody to vent to. So they just like take it out on you and then they react. And then it's a communication too, it's
Mm,
communicating with each other. And when you could just get that somebody's going through something, I
yeah.
had some lady, it was in Manhattan. It was on 34th
Mm.
Street, and it's very it's Penn Station, so it's very very busy. And it was like
Penn
after,
Station. I've
yeah,
got. Yeah, I remember going
you,
through there. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Mm.
hub for all the trains and stuff going in. And I'm sitting down, and it was around like 7 o'clock at night, and I'm taking the train home, and I see this woman walking towards me, and she has her cane, and she's looking at me. She's obviously a little drunk, and I had a few drinks too with my girlfriends for happy hour, and I'm just looking to get home, and I have my ear pods on, um, and I'm sitting down, and it's busy, and she's taking her cane, and she's like pointing towards, she's far away from me, but she's coming after me, like, she can't walk that fast, and she's like, she starts cursing at me and
Oh
yelling
my
at me,
gosh.
and I'm looking behind me, and I'm like, is she talking to me?
Yeah.
I just kept sitting there, and I'm just like, and then I turn my phone off. Like I turn off, the music that I was listening to. And she comes at me and she's like, and she started, saying some racial stuff to me. And I'm like, this has nothing to do, I don't know you, you
Yeah.
know, I really don't know who you are. But she's taking it out on me for whatever reason. And so everybody's like moving away from me, and I'm sitting there on the bench,
Yeah.
and I was like, come here, sit down.
Yeah.
Like, come here, sit. Obviously you're dealing with something, come sit down. And so she
Yeah.
sits down next to me, and I mean, after she cursed me out and everyone's like, what are you doing telling her to sit down? I'm like, she's obviously tired, she's doing, like, it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with me. And I'm being
Wow.
empathetic towards her, and I said, sit down. And I'll never forget this moment. Like, this woman and I had connected in this moment. And she says, I am so sorry. I did not mean to call you all those names. And like, my friend, she's white and you look like her. And I just wanted to take everything out on you. I said, what's your name? She says, my name is Sheila. I said, Sheila, nice to meet you. I'm Tami. I said, zip up your fanny pack because you're having your money fall out. Here goes your dollar.
Yeah.
And your beer is about to fall out too. And so I said, I
Wow.
don't want anybody to come up to you and take your money and take your beer and like I don't want anybody to hurt you, you know? And she's like, I'm just so sorry. My name is Sheila. I'm in a shelter. I said, can I give you a hug? Like, do you need a hug right now? Like, I get that you're dealing with something, and I know that you think that I'm your friend because I look like her and you got into a fight with her, and, you know, just be careful, like, out there, you know, like, I get that you're upset. And she like looked at me and she's like, I'm sorry, but like, you're so sweet. And I didn't mean to do that to you. And I was like, it's okay. No problem. You know? And she told me about her life. She lives in a shelter down in Canarsie, and the train finally came. And at that moment, I'm like, I'm done. You could go on this train. I'm going to go on the next part. Because I did.
Too much.
It was like, I was good. You know, I wanted to listen to my music, you know, that was the moment. But in that moment, I could have reacted. I could have been like, who do you think you're talking to? Who do you think, you know, like, get your cane out of my face, you know, like, I could have gone there. I could have totally gone there, but I felt empathetic towards her. And in that moment, I was like, dang, that was very powerful, Tami. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so intense. Like, it just shows you how important like empathy is, and it's like it's crazy how you kind of handled that situation. Because I think probably 9 times out of 10, other people would have gone the other way, or walked off, or just reacted and said something back. And tensions can be high sometimes. And the thing is, in that situation as well, sometimes if you're in that situation, the people around you almost can kind of look around and almost don't help you, or walk off, or look the other way. And I remember when I went to New York, I mean, New York, this happens, and it's going to happen anywhere. But when I went to New York, some guy fell over in the middle of the street, and people were like looking at each other like, what do we do? And like, no one helped him up. I think they were like, somebody helped him up eventually. But I looked at my friend and I thought, what the hell is going on? And when people react and get angry, or if there's a fight happening, people they'll get their phones out, or somebody else will get involved, or people react. It's a really strange. I don't know. It's quite a strange thing, but I think it's great that you had that empathy and that understanding for that woman to sit down and be grounded about it.
Yeah, it was the other people were screaming at me like, what are you doing around that homeless woman? What do you know? And I'm like, she probably hears that all the time. And I just wanted to help her out. You know, she's a woman. She could have fell over into the tracks. She could have, I told her to sit down so that she doesn't fall over. You know, she was inebriated. She was really drunk. You know, you could smell it a mile away. And I was just like, sit down. Like, come on, let's talk. You're a woman. I'm a woman. Like, let me just give you some love right now, because if I'm not, I could react and be like, but everybody was like staring at me like, are you really going to have a conversation with her? And I'm like, are you really in this conversation? You could stop looking. Like, you don't have to come. Like, this has nothing to do with you. Like, she didn't attack you. She attacked me, and I told her to sit down. Like, Sheila, now that I know your name, Sheila, thank you for sharing your name, but people, empathy is missing in the world. And when I could know that I could be that for someone else, that's just a ripple effect for her to be like that for someone else, whether she takes it on or not. But she got impacted in that moment in a way where she's like, oh wow, maybe I should check myself before I go do something like that. So it was great to be there with her.
No, that's it. And I think as well with that, it gives that person, like she's going to take, a lot of positive goodness from that, and probably in her mind have more faith, have faith in people, like when because, you know, from that experience, she then was like, well, that person was nice to me, you know, perhaps people aren't so bad, you know, and then she, you know, lives her life in probably a different way. So it's pretty powerful, isn't it? You know, how
Mhm.
people can take things from situations. Um, and I think like what we mentioned earlier is like, you know, kind of you talking about magic and like how people, like how we kind of, I feel like we're on the same kind of wavelength. And, you know, we've spoken like, you know, on video call, you know, a number of times, and how, you know, energy and, you know, like the universe and people, there's like kind of magic to it, isn't there really?
Yeah, it is magic. And magic, miracles and magic, when you can expect miracles even in the midst of anything going bad or wrong, like if you could just get that there's nothing bad or wrong and you can just be free with just whatever magic, like it's magic, like oh my god, this
Mm,
is, let's look for magic, let's look for miracles, like where can I find a miracle, you know,
mm,
in this whole situation, whether it's like making you down or up, let's just look at miracles. And magic starts to happen and you're like, how did that
mm.
happen? Is how did that happen? How did that happen? So you just start looking at your life and start
Yeah,
appreciating and being thankful and grateful.
yeah. No, exactly. And I think like gratitude's a big thing, isn't it, as well? You know, being grateful for, you know, things that you have, things like that.
Yeah. When you could look at being grateful for things that are in your life. I mean, gratitude is second most strongest, powerful thing that you could do in this planet besides forgiveness. Forgiveness is
Mm,
number one. Because when you could forgive somebody and forgive yourself, or, you know, stop beating yourself up, there's so much freedom in that. And what
mm,
gratitude does is it gives that energy off of like, oh my God, like when I'm feeling down and out and I'm having a bad day or a bad week or just bad anything, I go and write a gratitude list. I'm like,
mm,
just to like switch up my frequencies and my energy. Because when I can
mm,
look at like, oh my God, I have a roof over my head, I have clothes, I have food, I have money, I have friends, I have family, I have, you know, the clothes that I'm wearing now, I'm able to be online. I'm
mm,
very thankful and grateful because some people don't have this.
mm.
And so you start generating that positive energy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think like I I think about it sometimes. Sometimes like, you know, I could probably get triggered or feel a certain way. Probably sometimes think, you know, we can all get caught off guard sometimes. So then when you think about it, you're like, yeah, there are, you know, we are quite fortunate, we are quite lucky, you know, like I said, to have a roof over our heads, of internet. And sometimes people, not everybody, but sometimes people can take probably things for granted, or like, yeah, almost, I think like people always want the next best thing sometimes, you know, like it's kind of how society is a little bit, you know, the latest phone, the latest this and that. And it's like, well, hang on a sec, you've already got, you know, 5 shirts. Do you need another one? You know, little things like that. I'm guilty of it. I used to buy a new shirt sometimes to go out, and I would do that quite a lot. And then over time, I was like, you know, do I really need a new shirt? You know, got so many more. But it's that balance. It's trying to find that balance, isn't it? And that healthy balance. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting the things that you like. 'Cause we all like our own things, don't we? But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's having that balance, probably, really. Just being grateful for sometimes probably the things that we have.
When you could be grateful for the things that you have and balancing it out, like, you mean, look at what happened during this whole quarantine time. Nobody's going out buying things because you have nowhere to go besides put on your PJs and a nice shirt so you could be on Zoom calls.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you're just like, wait, I really don't need all these things. And then you start putting in perspective, you know, like men who used to go out and work all day long, and now they're stuck at home with their children. Now they're getting a connection with their children. Like, wait a second, the morale of the office could just be everybody coming in, you know, once
yeah.
or twice a week, and the rest of them working from home and take another extra day off. So yeah, a lot of things have changed and perspectives has changed, and
Mm,
repivoting yourself and a lot of people that are, you know, that I speak to, and they had to reinvent themselves.
mm.
you know,
Yeah.
including myself. Like I used to go to networks and be out with people and, you know, throw events. Now I'm like, oh wait, you can't go to take events.
Yeah.
We can't go. So how am I going to do this? So now online is the best way. So where we can connect. Like I met you, you know,
Mm.
through online.
Yeah. No, it is pretty fascinating, isn't it? And I think I find it pretty incredible how we've adapted and how businesses have adapted, you know, throughout this time. Because I went, you know, in America, in New York, you have TJ Maxx,
Mm-hmm.
TJ Maxx. We have TK Maxx over here, same company, but it's TK.
Different letter.
Yeah, yeah. And I had a look around, and it's like, you know, the way it's all set up and how, you know, how it is now. It's like if you would have thought back 6 months ago, 5 months ago, oh, places are going to be like this now. You'd be like, what? So I do feel sorry for businesses, like you said, you know, who wasn't able to improvise, you know, because I think I was talking to somebody who lives in New York as well, and she was saying like you can't eat in restaurants or anything inside.
Not
Is
yet.
that right? Not
Well,
yet.
in the boroughs you can't, but like in Long Island and everywhere else you can.
Yeah.
It's so
So
weird. It's like Brooklyn, you can't be out in the streets. I mean, you can't be out in the restaurants, but you can be out in the streets. But now it's getting colder now, so now you can't. You know,
yeah.
nobody can sit inside, but only outdoor seating. But now there's a lawsuit going on with the restaurants, and now coming September 30th, now 25% they're allowed to eat inside. Like you're allowed to have 25% occupancy.
It's like 4 tables. Is that?
New York's really small.
Yeah.
New York is really small, and yeah, so it's like 4 tables instead of, you know, the 12 that you have. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work, but I guess you got to make a reservation 10 months in advance.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's it. It's
Like 10 months because there's so many seating.
yeah. But no, it'd be interesting to see how things pan out. And I think, like you said, in the terms of offices and office space, you know, a lot of businesses, like you said, are probably just using them to catch up, touch base with things, and then people can then do, you know, other things. But I think in that as well, with the whole situation, there's almost like a silver lining to it, isn't there? People, like you said, have been able to probably develop more relationships online, reconnect family in some way, you know, reinvent themselves, like you said. Um, so, you know, I found there are positives to it, you know, amongst
Hmm.
a lot of the other things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and if you could just reinvent yourself. I mean, I've spoken to so many women and so many people, and reinventing the wheel. And like,
Mm,
you know, even now with school starting, you got to like figure out homeschooling. So much. I mean, there's so many different things going on at once because it's a whole new world that we're all living in.
mm,
And you just got to repivot yourself and look at where your mind is going, especially, you know, like how
mm,
are you feeling? Like check in with yourself and feel
mm,
what you're feeling. And it's okay to feel sad. Like go cry, go scream in a pillow if you need to, you know, to get
mm,
that frustration out, to get the anger out. So
mm.
it's good to just release it, but also feel it and go through it. And it's not
Yeah,
bad. It's not bad at all to feel sad, depressed. Like people feel
no,
like I need to be happy all the time. Like, no, it's okay to feel that way.
yeah,
And, you know, like my clients beat themselves up and they're very hard on them because I'm very hard on myself, of course.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Super hard on myself.
Mm,
And I beat myself up mentally and like, oh my God, I'm such a horrible person. And why did I do
yeah,
this? And why, and it doesn't make a difference, you know, but I'm
no,
supposed to see something in this. And why am I feeling like this? And get to the
mm,
source of that. Like, where is this coming from? And being
yeah,
able to be okay and clear that space and transform it into something else, you
mm,
know, but it's okay to feel the way you are and just be aware of it because the
mm,
results that you want in work and life, you could be effective or ineffective, but just know that when you're
mm,
ineffective, work on it. When you're effective, do more of that.
yeah. No, I think they're really good points. And I think like it's like owning it, isn't it? It's owning whatever is going on. and
being
almost like,
yeah,
yeah,
being responsible. And then you have a choice. You can continue to be ineffective, you can continue to cry, you can continue, it's totally your choice. People are like, oh, the world, they play victim. I'm was a big
yeah,
victim before all of this transformational work and hiring coaches for 8 years. And I'm like, oh, I'm responsible for how this is occurring in my life. There's so much freedom in that, so much freedom.
Yeah, no, that's it. And it's like how you grow, isn't it? That's, it's pretty transformational, like you said, when you start doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Transformation is in a
Yeah,
moment. You could transform right now. In a
yeah,
moment. It's your
yeah.
choice.
No, that's it, exactly. Um, but like, if you just to like kind of like round, I know you said like an hour. Are you okay for time? You okay for
Mm-hmm.
time? Are you all right?
Yeah, I have like 5 more minutes left.
Yeah, sure. Have you been? I usually ask people, have you been reading any books at all? Have you read any
Yeah,
recently?
I'm reading Conversations with God right now.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I'm listening to Your Wish is Your Command. This is an audio, 14 audios that I have, and I have what else? And plus, I write. I'm writing my own book for women
Nice.
entrepreneurs, and I put a hold on it for now, but I'm going to get
Yeah,
back
yeah,
on
yeah.
it again. I wrote 4 chapters. I have the whole
Nice.
outline of what I'm going to write. I just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
want to focus on what I need to do first, and then go back into writing. So I'm in no rush.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and I wish you all the best with that. And we know when you're doing it or when you've done it, just let me know, and I'll put it out there for you, and you can talk about it on here, and I'll
Yeah,
promote it and everything. Yeah,
when it comes up, we'll do another
yeah,
podcast for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. But but no, it's been a pleasure talking to you again, Tommy, and I really think you're doing an amazing job in what you're doing, and what you're about, and it's always a pleasure, to connect with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I
No, you're
appreciate
welcome.
this. I
No, you're
love your
welcome.
podcast, and I love that you're reaching out to people and making a difference in their lives, and you're connecting with so many people around the world. So that's I can't wait to see where you're going to be in 6 months from now. Like I've
Yeah.
seen you in March, and now I see you now, and it's like a whole different person. And I love who you're becoming too.
Thank you. That's really, really touching. Really, really means a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. You
No,
you
you're
got
welcome.
you got big places to go.
Yeah.
We both
No,
do.
thank. Yeah, we both do. No, you're welcome. No, you're welcome, and you're gonna like do great. You're doing great things now, and like you can just go even. Both gonna go further and further, aren't we? Really, and
Oh,
I wish you all the best in what you're doing and your
oh,
book and everything else. Oh, you're welcome.
thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Love it.
No, same. But yeah, where can people find you on social media again and things like that?
Yeah, you can find me at coach_Tami, Tami. And you can find me on Facebook, Tami Zakerie, Zakerie. First name Tami, Tami. So Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. No, awesome.
And I have a website. I forget about my website all the time. It's TamiZakerie.com,
Yeah, yeah.
TamiZakerie.com. So yeah, you can check me out there.
Yeah, yeah. No, sounds good. And I'll put all the links in the description for you as well, so people can get to it.
Awesome. Thank you. I
No,
love
no,
it. Thanks
no.
for having
Yeah.
me.
No, you're welcome. Good to have you. Take
Thank
care.
you. All right.